we're taking care of people in Kenya at the expense of our children here.
Yes.
So someone said that the discussion was on making sure we are taking care of our children, and once we have taken care of our children, that's when we can take additional responsibilities of supporting people in Kenya. And someone say that no, that it is okay for her or him to be paying for school fees for people in Kenya, whatever fees would be, because our children here in America have various options. They could work and pay their own way. They could take loans, their grants, their scholarships. So that us as parents planning for how they're gonna pay for college is creating entitled human beings.
If I am paying school fees for my sister's daughter at a school I can afford, that's good, because they should also have education. We don't want to eventually go back home and find out that your niece dropped out of high school because they couldn't afford high school fees.
Yeah.
But I am not going to pay Strathmore fees for my niece and not even be able to take my child to Baltimore Zoo. That is wrong.
So some parents here, and this was in a Kenyan forum, was saying that, and this goes back to when we sacrifice, we sacrifice how we're taking care of. We're taking care of people in Kenya at the expense of our children here.
Yes.
So someone said that the discussion was on making sure we are taking care of our children, and once we have taken care of our children, that's when we can take additional responsibilities of supporting people in Kenya. And someone say that no, that it is okay for her or him to be paying for school fees for people in Kenya, whatever fees would be, because our children here in America have various options. They could work and pay their own way. They could take loans, their grants, their scholarships. So that us as parents planning for how they're gonna pay for college is creating entitled human beings. What is your take on that?
Lawrence?
I just want to hear what everybody's gonna say, everybody on the panel, because I found it. I mean, to me, we've all been raised by a village, and many of us were where we are because a village supported us.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel you cannot set yourself on fire
Right.
in order to help someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen situations where like you don't even take your kids on vacation. They come go on summer break, spring break, and they don't even go anywhere. They don't even go to the botanical garden or the museum that is in their own city.
State. Yeah.
And the reason is it's not because you can't afford, it's because you're spending all the money at home. So what is I want us to discuss that, because that is something that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I've had conversations of children having among themselves, and it's creating some sort of resentment.
Okay. Yeah. Again, for me, for us, it goes back to planning and deciding what you're doing here. You have a family here. You have children
Mm-hmm.
who are actually American children, not Kenyan. I think your priority should be your family first. I'm a firm believer that it's okay to help where you can, because as you said, we came from somewhere and we have two homes. That's the reality. We have our parents and our family members back home, but we also have a family here. I don't believe that you can fail to give your kids the best life at the expense of family members who are back home. And that's why I said when you come to this country, it's good to decide what are you doing. Are you 100% invested here? Are you 50-50? Are you going back? Are you staying here? Once you decide that, you can decide what to do. But ultimately, your children comes first, no matter what. Most people struggle with that, but I think the sooner you decide, you decide what you want to do, it will help you a lot. Not necessarily you, but in general.
Yeah. I mean, I'm agreeing with you. You know, like your family right here, the one that you have, your children, that should be your priority. The only exception I'd make maybe is if you maybe have elderly parents that you're taking care of, who have no other source of income. So that's one exception that I would make.
That's why I said.
Another exception I would make is, let's live with reality. There are people who have another family back home, a second wife and other children.
A third wife.
Yeah,
and
a third wife. Yeah, so
that's their hill to die on.
Or a second husband.
They're choosing to have wives in every
second
zip
husband.
code. That's their issue.
Even a second husband.
No, we're not talking
husband.
if it's an issue. We're talking about reality. You know, like you have you have another wife and you have children. You
Or
know,
a husband.
Yeah. Or
What?
And Ari, that's why again.
Or a husband.
Said,
Come on.
Just to be on track.
Even mamas can have husbands.
That's what I said. It's good to plan. If you know you have somebody who is sick in Kenya, they're gonna need you. You know, dialysis and stuff like that. You know, the country is not going to help you. We can see what is happening. But it is good to plan your finances, your responsibilities. As we said, we do have a lot of responsibilities in Kenya too.
Yeah.
But we also have our life here.
Right. Okay.
And I guess a lot of people don't plan this early enough, and they come to find out when it's too late. I didn't plan it.
I think. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, my dear. I think to answer your question or to give my opinion, I would say it's what we call who here knows philosophy. I really forgot. I think it's called
Ali.
Hierarchy. Is it
Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if I am paying school fees for my sister's daughter at a school I can afford, that's good, because they should also have education. We don't want to eventually go back home and find out that your niece dropped out of high school because they couldn't afford high school fees.
Yeah.
But I am not going to pay Strathmore fees for my niece and not even be able to take my child to Baltimore Zoo. That is wrong.
No, I agree with you. And I think also one thing that I have advised people who you're in a situation where you're supposed to pay school fees for certain children, you must also have say on what schools they can go to.
Exactly.
So you can't have parents, like taking their schools to these expensive schools.
Their kids to these.
Yeah, and while they're depending on you, I think you must have a say, and I think you must have a cut-off amount. Like all I can afford is 100,000 shillings a term, and that's it. So if you decide to take your child to a more expensive school, this is the
that's your
max I'm sending
prerogative,
you.
and you should be able to cater for the balance of what I'm setting to you.
Because unfortunately, with what's happening with the economy back home, there's some dependency that's now being built. Like when you look back, we've been here for a long time. Most of us have been here for over 20 years. When you look what people were sending money for back 20 years ago and what they're sending for money today, there's a very big difference. Like back then it was mostly emergencies, maybe a death in the family, maybe school fees up and apale. But now money is being sent for some very basic things that you cannot even imagine.
So the important things like parents, that is a necessity. You can't let your mother starve. You can't let them not have a good life. The food, like Gofu said, if someone is sick, they need money. That's important. If you can help, you should be able to send them money to go to hospital, because we all know how Kenya is, and it's actually just getting worse. If somebody is going to school and they need you, you should step up. If they are lacking food, you should step up. What I find to be something that I cannot be part of is people calling and saying we want to go for vacay, I want to go to Mombasa.
Naivasha.
I want to go to these places. And they want money for that. When you can't even take your kids to a good vacation.
Let alone we can't afford it when we go home ourselves.
Now we have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Ativasha nini?
We're in a group with Kina Omosh where people very blatantly ask us for money to drink.
That's another one.
It's so blatant. It's so blatant.
You get the message from the bar. You get the message from the bar.
Told me,
niko na bill hapa kwa bar. Ebutuma 10 bob.
Yeah, there's someone who told me 50 bob haiwezi kukunini.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it is so blatant. Like it's not even funny, but these things are happening. But so Washeke asante sana.
She's still there.
Yeah, I think Washeke might still
Did we answer her questions?
Yeah, I think her questions were answered.
Thank you.
Okay, sawa. Asante Washeke.
Yeah,
now, before we
thank
forget.
You so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Washeke. Before
you are the last party in the conference.
Before we forget, because our time is also running out, there's because we've been talking about money, there's an issue about of course the diaspora remittances, fundraisers, and also just investments outside of the country. The perception that we have, and also the perception that children growing up over here have, I found it very interesting, in how they look at and on how we look at these things, and on how they look at them. Because I'll tell you, with diaspora remittances, there's a very huge chunk of our income that's going towards diaspora remittances, and that's why. You find that now kids who are being raised here, they're noticing these things. I know people who are sending up to 30-40% of their income back home. Because think about it, if you, let's say, have a modest job, you earn $100,000 a year, and $30,000 is going back home. That's 30%. And it's very easy. Some people, I tell them, go look at your statements, whichever app you're using, to send money, and sometimes you will be very shocked at how much money is going back home. I know we've discussed that issue of inheritance, and we've agreed to disagree. But I think it's an important thing, because a lot of people have not looked at the laws within their state, and most of us, we tend to sit here thinking that I have another 30, 40, 50 years to go, but none of us knows that.
Yeah.
We could go out tomorrow or today, and we are no more. None of us has a guarantee. So I think that's why I feel it is very, very important, especially on the wealth that you own outside this country, to know, or rather to have a plan of what you want to happen to it in case you die tomorrow. Yeah. Like not a plan in your mind, but a plan on paper. Yeah. Like if this happens, this is what I want to go. Because I'll tell you this, we'll assume it's easy, but there's 2-3 different people I'm talking to, born over here, and they're on the verge of giving up. They're like, you know what? It's not worth it. Like whenever you go there on vacation, like 1 month, you're spending the whole month trying to figure out how to change ownership and how to move from this office to that office. So I think that's something very important that that we as parents don't sometimes pay attention to. And I've seen situations where people have passed away, and this has happened. Now,
so Ali,
yes.
If you look at your screen, who is sponsoring your show at this minute?
It is Lemfi money transfer.
And what does Lemfi do?
They're sending money back home.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you are basically saying don't invest in Kenya, but
when did I ever say that? I've heard you say that. When did I ever say that?
Not today, but many shows that I've listened to.
Did I say never invest in Kenya?
Let's address today. Yeah. So your point today is that when you use Lemify to send money to Kenya to buy all these plots and invest, that you should be very careful because your kids might not be able to get that inheritance. Is that what you're saying?
So what I'm saying is, have a plan.
Have a plan.
On paper.
Actually, have a plan
Yes.
everywhere.
Not on paper, not in your mind or not verbally.
Yeah.
Don't tell someone, in case something happens to me, peleke mama yangu
Okay,
hivi.
Sasa, to me agree. You should have a plan in
Everywhere.
paper everywhere, whether
Yeah.
it's
Costa
US,
Rica,
whether it's Kenya, whether it's
Bermuda.
Cayman
Yeah,
Islands, whatever, Bermuda, Bahamas.
Yeah,
Because those laws
You
are there.
must have
Yes.
a plan.
And whatever
Yeah.
plans you have,
Yeah.
let your children know.
They
Because-
should know.
because-
They
That's
should
a
know.
big one.
Yeah,
That's a big
because
one.
that's another issue. Like, even if you want, even if you own, like millions in property or tens of millions in property in
They're
Kenya.
not gonna get it if you don't tell them.
And you don't want them to get it.
Yeah.
Just tell them that when I die, all those millions of properties in Kenya, I'm giving them out to charity. Let them know
Yeah.
while you're still
Yeah.
alive.
We agree, Lawrence. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, I agree.
We agree with that. We conquer all
Yeah.
that.
Actually,
You have to be
it's
open as
it's
a
a
family.
good topic.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't
It's a
prepare.
good
this.
topic.
That's
Let-
again, I said, it's all about preparation and
Yeah.
planning.
Yes, let them know while they're still alive, and also let them know, because another thing that happens, which is why, there's different ways in which different cultures deal with this, but this thing called inheritance makes brothers and sisters
Fight.
not speak to each
Yeah.
other.
Enemies.
Yeah. But can I
Kill
tell
each
you
other.
something that will make you all laugh?
Yeah.
We were having a conversation with Gofu the other day, and that member, that person told us that they bought plots back in 2003. They don't even know where those plots are.
Eh?
Look at that.
Dead, what is it
So,
called?
Yeah.
so basically, yes, let your kids know as long as
Okay,
long
wait.
as-
So,
as
but,
long as you know where the
that-
land is.
That doesn't make sense.
Oh, it does.
It happens.
It
does.
happens. It
There are
happens.
people
Yes.
with plots for years.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, okay, you have the plot but you don't know where it is. Is it because hukuwa na uwezo ya kuenda, haikuwa, or you got a
Maybe
family
it was
member to
bought by
do it?
somebody, right? Yeah.
Oh, okay. The one that was bought and you were sent for a picture, which is not a picture.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now 10 years later, you are able to go to Kenya and you are told
you-
this plot is
It doesn't
here.
exist, and the title never
the
came out.
story.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think those are some of the areas where,
What?
like maybe deep thought is not given.
I think that's a topic by itself.
Yes.
Yeah,
No, it-
That
yeah,
is-
you're right.
That is
yeah.
two topics.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
That is
huge
two
topic.
topics.
Yeah.
Remember I told you about people not deciding who am I when they're here.
Yeah.
It's a topic. A lot of people don't really take time to
Am I Kenyan? Am I
Kenyan?
American?
Am I
Yeah.
American? Am I both?
No, we just come over
And then
here
we
to go
get-
to school, and
then
then we're
and
supposed
then we
to go
get
back.
older.
Then we
Yeah.
stay.
Then when we get to middle life crisis, because now we are caught up.
Another thing
No,
that
let me finish.
yeah.
Then at some point, you realize you can't retire here because it's very expensive.
Yeah.
Okay, we are in a business of home care, so we know
it's
how
very
much it
expensive.
costs.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
then somebody's trying to go back home, but they never did anything there because they thought they would be here. Now they can afford it here. Then what?
But
No,
at,
that's true.
But at
There's
that
some-
point, they're old. They can't even afford to build at home.
No,
there you go.
no,
so
they
planning,
can't.
Remember planning.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily that you can move back home. It's cheaper, but you need to plan it because, as he said, a plot that was $1 million shillings in 2001 is 10 million now.
Correct. Yes.
You can buy it.
I mean,
But
you
somebody-
can if
No,
you make the money
I'm
like,
just saying, if you can
like
afford
the-
to retire.
yeah.
So somebody who bought it then has an advantage.
over you
Over
who's
you.
trying to do
So-
it now.
So it's not the issue of you can go back. It's when and how. How do you plan it? Right? Because remember, retirement in America is not a joke. That's
No,
why-
it's not
that's why-
a
that's why you
joke,
see
yeah.
people in Walmart
Mhm.
at 190 years old ringing those bells. They can't afford to stop working.
No, of course, that's true. That's something that
Mhm.
that has to be.
It's a big topic. That's something you should actually have a show.
Now, I also
Like, get an expert.
another thing that also people have to plan for is in case you die.
Right.
You know, like what happens to you.
It's all together.
So-
That's
so-
a-
Estate planning.
Yeah, so at least no, I'm saying in case you die, how will you? Because that concept of getting buried is another thing that's also causing a lot of friction. like within the community.
It depends in which community.
It's causing a lot
Kwa
of friction.
Wajaluo, hiyo si problem.
Yeah.
I can tell you for free.
Yeah.
Kwa Wajaluo, hiyo si problem.
Yeah.
You will be buried. Ali kwanza hata kama huna, people will changa for you and take you
you
back
know,
home and bury you.
But you know, those same Wajaluos, some of them are being buried here.
No, but I
And that's why I'm saying.
But you know what changed
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
for all of us?
Yeah.
COVID set a standard, a precedent that, you know what, there are some things you can actually do, which a lot of us, especially watu wa Western, Wajaluo, Nyanza, frowned upon. That you had to have this lavish ceremony and this big send-off celebration and all of that. COVID taught us that, you know what, you can do it with 4 people, family, in, out, done, dusted, 100K.
Right.
COVID taught us. So whether people choose to use that, that's now another story.
Excuse me.
But it is possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, the reason why I'm saying it's important
Yes.
to do that, because especially on these deaths that occur suddenly,
Correct.
you can always see the friction that's in the in the community.
Yeah,
But
it brings a
Ali,
lot,
for all of us here, I think we all know that tomorrow is not guaranteed.
Yeah.
If you wake up tomorrow, praise be to God, or praise be to Allah, that
Yes.
you're up, you're healthy, you're functioning. So the whole issue of people are gonna fight, if I'm getting you correct, you're saying that people are gonna fight because you have left ample amount of wealth and nobody knows you don't have a will. That is already a dysfunction of family, because people should be able to sit down together cohesively and say, now that Ali is not here and he owned 10 bungalows, how do we divide this? If your nuclear family cannot even agree to that, do they even deserve to be left the wealth? No.
Now, the way some of these conflicts happen, it was people who were getting along. They were getting along. They were doing okay, but because there was no, specific written plan on how this is gonna happen, that's where these things happen. That's where these things start, and you find people who are actually family members, like siblings, getting along.
Yes.
Iyo kitu, I always caution parents, do not assume that because you have a functional family, that you guys are getting along, that if something happens to you and there's no plan of what to do with that, that
they'll get along. Yes.
That they will get along.
Yes, Ali, you're very right.
Yeah. You're very right. But
You're
if
very
they are
right.
gonna fight for the property that you have left, maybe they don't even deserve it to begin with.
So maybe okay. So technically, you'll say maybe they don't deserve it, but that right there, take away any source of because if you die, of course, if you die, you're dead. But I think it's important for anyone to want, like after they're gone, to not have anything that may cause conflict between the people who they've left behind, their children. And one of the biggest source of conflicts, urithi.
Is what?
Urithi.
Yeah.
Inheritance.
Yes.
I figured.
I mean,
that's what he was trying to say.
no,
huh?
but
Yeah.
ni word gani natumika kwa Kikuyu? Isn't it the same word?
Urithi. Please say that in
Inheritance.
Urithi.
Kikuyu.
That's a Kikuyu word.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
I mean, I think that's a good point. I feel like Gofu said that's a discussion for
That's a
another
whole
show
lot of
altogether.
topic, my
It's
friend. Yeah.
really a heavy
Yeah.
discussion.
There's something that we have not even talked. I know we
Yeah.
are running out of time.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
There's sleepovers and there's sexual orientation, and I think that's a part 2 for this show.
No, so that's maybe the one last thing we can discuss before we get out of the building, because now there's an issue of in Montgomery County, for example, there was a big issue where the school curriculum wanted to, or maybe has already introduced, these issues about the gender fluidity and everything within the system.
He, she, I, am.
So there was
Pronouns.
not even the pronouns, it's storybooks.
Yeah.
Right.
Like a storybook where a child in elementary school is being taught, this is Jane, and Jane has two mothers. Or this is John, and John has two fathers. So there was a very big case, and I don't know how far it's gone, whereby initially they were allowing parents to opt out. Like if you don't want your child to be taught that stuff, you could opt out. But at some point, the board reversed that. They were like, no, everyone should be taught this. So there's a very big case, and I think the parents who lodged the case won. So there are these issues now that we are now actively dealing with, of the LGBTQ issue, and the gender identity issue, where someone is born as a boy, but when they turn 9, they tell you, "Oh, daddy, I feel like a girl, so I want to wear dresses."
I identify as
a
then
girl.
using the bathrooms are also being gender neutral, things like that. So it becomes very interesting. I've seen that happen at least in colleges. I don't know about in high schools whether they're also doing that about the bathrooms with like a gender neutral.
So are these things that you've had to or that's
I mean
Go ahead, boss. Don't be shy.
I have talked to my kids about this, and this is my stand. If you are not 17 and above, I don't think you can make decisions for yourself. That's it. I mean, I've talked to my kids. I've told them, I don't care what you want to do with your life, so long as you're an adult. But you can't come to me as a 9 years old and tell me that you are
this, that,
I'm not a this or that.
I'm not a girl anymore.
No, I don't think in the mindset is there. I'm not, as I said, I'm gonna let my kids do what they want when they're adults. But when they're children, that's where they're children.
And under your roof.
Yeah.
Right. They're children for a reason.
I agree with that.
So I know it's a struggle in this country. There are so many things.
It is a huge struggle.
Some people bring religion to it. It is a tough situation.
But this thing is now, for lack of a better word, it's actively being promoted.
It's being pushed. I mean,
even within the schooling system.
Use the word push because it's being pushed. It's an agenda. Yeah. So we as parents, we have to take a stand. That's how I see. And parents have to be on the same page. If your child comes to you and say that they are not these, they feel like they want to do this, I have to remind my kid, you are a child. When you come to me as an adult and say this is what you want to do, more power to you. There's nothing I can do about it. But as a child, under my roof, I don't think you have, worst case scenario, they come back and say, I didn't want to do this because I was a child. Then what?
Yeah.
Can you reverse it? I mean,
yeah, there's...
And by the way, it's happening. People are going back when they're like 22. Now they want to reverse.
Yeah.
And they can't. Now they're suicidal.
Yeah.
There are so many dynamics to this.
Yeah, I honestly think, like at the end of the day, in as much as, want to listen to our kids and everything, there's still so many things they need guidance on.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So and if they have experienced some kind of misguidance, I think it's your role as a parent to now at this point where your parent hurt and just tell them apana.
And also there's another big thing. As parents, you should watch and be very careful with what your kids are doing online. There's a lot of things that happen online. There are AI fake people.
Yeah.
When you say fake people, I know there's a story where a child was talking to a bot online, and he gave the AI he thinks is a human their address, and now the real person came and kidnapped the child.
Wow!
Can you now imagine the police trying to figure out who did it?
Yeah.
There's not a human interaction, so parents need to be careful with what their kids are doing online. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Let me ask, I'm just play devil's advocate on this one. I'm just playing devil's advocate. So we've talked about like a certain kids at a certain age, trying to get them to you have to accommodate. There's a lot of accommodation that needs to happen
Mm-hmm.
in as much as, they're growing older, different environment, different setting, different parenting.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to trying to accommodate mental health, so you tell a child that they cannot, at this juncture, how you're feeling or whatever, this cannot be addressed at this age. How do you go about telling someone like who's 9, 10 that I'm not going to accommodate this, I'm not going to entertain this? Or how do you navigate that? Because there's also that issue, that we talked about, like our kids, at a certain age, they have to deal with mental health. And, like, for example, bullying or whatever, because you know what? Add this into that bowl, because there's part of that, because now not only are they African, but they're also different. They're talking a different way or whatever. How do you address that? How do you talk? How do you talk about that?
But
at a certain age,
I am not telling them.
Is he mixing issues though?
I'm not telling them.
No, because I'm not making
right.
It's the issue here is mental health, because when you remove, let's say for example, where we've come from, or trying to accommodate and addressing situations here, right? So tumetoa Mathereine, Motoho, Kirere, Mujukua, Masai.
Who are those?
Don't worry, you've removed all that.
Yeah.
They still the villages. Oh yeah, sorry. So Nairobi West, we have to give them the villages. So so then now you have to address, some mental. You have to address some sort of mental situation with your child, because they're feeling a certain way.
Are you saying that the child will get mental breakdown because of my response?
Yes.
Okay. I am not
hypothetically
speaking. I am
speaking.
not saying that the child. I'm not saying the child cannot. My kids cannot do or be who they are. I did not say that. All I'm saying is, I believe that a child cannot make a decision. Some of
their gender identity.
Right, gender identity. I don't believe a child should be able to do that.
Before they're 18.
Before they're 18.
Yeah.
I think it's 17 in America.
Yeah.
As
a matter of fact,
even at 18.
If you can buy alcohol,
right?
Even at 18.
Why are you making these
That's
decisions?
a huge decision.
You need to be at least 21.
You know.
And I'll start firm on that.
Yeah.
So if the child, that's what they want to do, they can. When they get older, they can come back.
Why is Omosh so quiet?
He likes staying away from these controversial topics.
It's not about controversy. You guys have asked our guests, and the guests are breaking it down.
Yeah.
Or you guys wanted me to come in and talk about a child that I hypothetically have, and then about how this hypothetical child is going to be told, kwa nyumba yangu, my law is order, and this, mimi kwanza kwa nyumba yangu, you do as I tell you, not as I do. Period. If you don't like it, hit the road.
Yeah.
Me yangu ni hardline.
Right.
And I know it, and my child will know it as well. So Mimi, there's no going back and forth yet. We are still negotiating.
Yeah.
But I must say, in listening to Gofua and Geda, they've had to learn how to balance and walk that fine line where you're a friend, but you're still a parent who is available for the kids, and you're open for the kids to come to you to share and for you to listen to them, as well as be their advocate, be there for them, but it does not take away from your ultimate responsibility of being a parent.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So the friendship is not at your now we are buddies, we are doing what? No, you're talking to me, fine, Nisawa. But at the end of the day, I'm the parent, and as a parent, I will make whatever decision I think is best for you until you have the ability to make your own decision.
Exactly. And there are some deeper issues in America, Ali.
Yeah.
Sexual orientation is an issue, but there are deeper issues. There are deeper issues that are affecting our children and are going to continue affecting our children unless they are addressed. So nowadays, they've started banning books that talk about slavery because they don't want the African American kids growing up knowing what their forefathers exactly what was done to them. That is an important topic. It is important to acknowledge why an African American person might be resentive to us, because we come here, we walk and we succeed because they were here and they went through what they went through.
True.
We have to respect them. Now, when these books are banned, the white child, the immigrant child, would never know what the African Americans went through. I went to the Smithsonian Museum. I knew I've read books, but I had no idea. Have you ever been there?
The African Museum, the Museum of Africa.
I've been to all those museums.
That museum will wake you up.
It will wake you up. It will make you depressed.
You
It will make you want to take a Xanax when you're living there, because it's very, 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 very sad.
I can only imagine for you guys going with your kids.
Imagine that.
How do you even... The swallows that
from
come
when you start
behind
from when you start underground,
Yes.
coming up.
And that was a difficult trip. We took the kids and they had questions and they were very, very disturbed. I personally was disturbed. And those are the things that are trying to be hidden now by America, because they don't want people to know what happened.
Yeah.
So I feel like there are deeper issues than somebody saying, I want to be called they, them, potato, whatever. That's their choice. If you want me to say they, I will respect that. That's just my opinion. But I am with Lawrence on this. I am not going to believe that a child before they're 18 can come and say, oh, I don't want to be a girl anymore.
So that
go buy me a shirt and pants.
No, you know, for us,
you want me to buy you a shirt and pants?
Yeah.
I mean, like you know what you're saying about the girl and the boy, because like when the child is saying that, you know, you're supposed to be empathetic as well as help steer them along the way on something that even you yourself hauelewi.
It's very, very true. You have to be empathetic, because it can be a shut case where I'm not listening to you, you are not going to change. No, you have to be open. You have to hear what the child is saying to you. You also have to respectfully tell them your opinion. When you turn 17, you can become Michael. For now, you're going to be, I'm Jerry.
Michaelia.
My name is Jerry.
Yeah.
So you're going to be Jerry. That's your name.
So you know, like Lawrence asked me, you know, like what's my view on this. I come from a religious tradition where we've stayed very firm on this. I think we're one of the last religious traditions that have stayed very firm on this and have not faltered. Personally, I'm very grateful for that, because it has made it easier for us, because the way, you know, like the way we are brought up and the way we are angled. So let's even forget about that. Let's talk about socially acceptable things like let's say, for example, adultery, which is socially acceptable. Fornication. These are things that are socially at some point in American history, there were even crimes. And there are still crimes in a lot of, for those of
States.
you who don't know.
Yes.
They're still crimes.
They're still on the books. Whether they are enforced is a different story.
But they become socially acceptable. But within our culture, not like people are not doing it, but they're not socially acceptable. So these are things that you're cultured from a very young age. Like for me, even as an adult, and I tell people this, and they sometimes wanashtuka, I could not go tell my mother, this is my girlfriend, in quotes, this is the person that I am fornicating with. Yeah, because of this, like if you have to do that, you have to do it far away. By the time you're coming to the parents, is like, okay, we're married. We want to get married.
Yeah.
We are thinking of getting married.
Yeah.
So when it comes to this issue of LGBTQ, we are one of the last religious traditions that has remained very firm on it. And for us, for parents, it has helped.
So firm against.
Firm against, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we've remained very firm against it. And it's not like if you're doing it, the thing is, for someone who's already in that situation, and they're either this or they're that, it's okay. But what we would not accept is coming to promote it. So you can't come out and start now promoting. That's where the line is drawn. Of course, this is America. It's a free country. Anyone is free to do what they want to do. But now within our religious tradition, where we'll draw the line is when you start promoting it.
So, I'm going to say this, and this might sound really different from who you think I am, but I'm very religious. I believe in God. I am very, very religious. I've seen God in many, many occasions. Every day of my life, I start with prayers. I close with prayers. When it comes to the issue of whether someone is gay or not, and if somebody really says I was born gay and I'm going to be gay, I don't see any religion in that aspect. I feel like a lot of people choose religion to say this is a sin. And I totally disagree with that. It may be the life they are living. It may be who they think they are. But like you say, nobody knows about tomorrow. When I die today as Genda, who's happily married, and I can't use you. So let's say Joroge dies the same day, who's very, very gay. Maybe my sins will stop me from going to heaven. And he might go to heaven directly based on his faith. So let's not use religion to make people feel like being gay is a sin.
No, I'm not using religion. And one thing that I've always
and it's not you. I'm saying in general, because that is what people preach in churches. Oh, yeah, they quote the Bible that being gay is a sin. And I totally disagree with that. There are many sins in this world. And even if you listen and read the Bible, there are many, many sins in this world.
So okay. I'm speaking from, an experience of being a Muslim.
Yes.
And I've always told, my colleagues here, the experience is very different. It's very different because I know, especially in Kenya, there's sometimes a tendency to use the term religion and Christianity interchangeably. What I tell people, for the most part, the experience of being a Muslim, both in Kenya and even here in America, is very different. Like, you see, like the way, for example...
so what happens if you're gay and you're Muslim?
So it's the same thing that happens if you're an adulterer and you're Muslim. By the way, being gay and being an adulterer, because in Islam, we don't have, like a sin is a sin. The sins, there's different levels of sinning. Like someone who's killed is not the same as someone who stole a cup. So the level at which being, it's not necessarily being gay, because you get a sin from performing the act. The level of sin of performing a gay act is almost at the same level with adultery. Is almost at the same level with adultery.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are sins that are up here, like murder, like and then there's other sins that are down here, which is very different from the philosophy of Christianity, where a sin is a sin. A sin is a sin. So it's very different in how we perceive it. And the other difference is that we do not challenge what the Quran says. I've seen in the Christian tradition people challenge the Bible, but for us, we are told this. For example, umeambiwa pombe ni haramu, usinywe pombe. So you can go ahead and drink, but
you're committing a sin.
You're committing a sin. Yeah. So that's where there's a difference in the entire philosophy. Mike, wahenga telling you something.
Wahenga walinena kilicho na mwanzo hakina budi kuwa na mwisho. Meli imetia nanga. We are about to wrap this puppy up.
Yo. Asante to my peeps.
Yes.
Gofu and or should I say Lawrence and Priscilla?
Yes,
I didn't even know that Priscilla was her name. But thank you for coming out, and I think we really should have a part 2.
And in
the part 2, we are going to be very, very specific with what we are tackling, because I feel like we've just scratched the surface.
Yeah, there are so many issues.
We've literally just scratched the surface.
To touch on.
Yeah. And then we need to have a part 3 with
the
kids in here and the
With
parents
adult
in
kids,
here,
yeah.
and
So they can challenge each other.
They can challenge each other after 18, and then we just give them a zinaitwaje boxing gloves. Juu kama nasikia Tyson bado hajaingia ring, but yes, kituka hiyo.
So that thing was supposed to start at 8.
No. It's
Those
ongoing right now.
prelims.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's
What
priest.
time is there?
There's
Yeah.
priest. In fact, anyway, that's for
They
another.
told me they were waiting for us to wrap this up so
Yeah,
they can
so
start the
that-
boxing. So let's maliza.
Wow, she is good.
So now
Yeah.
you're a boxing fan.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's good.
Okay.
She's good. I still
Around.
have my VHS tapes of Tyson. But anyway, with that said, thank you everybody who listens to our show. You guys make us better, as well as the feedback that you give us allows us to give you different content, more shows, get the conversation rolling in a direction that is affecting, or should I say, brings up things that affect us as folks here in the diaspora. I know we're still having election, what would I say, apathy, if that's what we want to call it, or yani withdrawals, or so to speak. And as we're seeing things happening around, I would just say, take a mental day or 2 or 3. If you can, atochuke the whole weekend, shut off, just, be around family. Kama unaweza choma kanyama kingine, uchome kanyama, whatever. Just unwind, because there's a lot of stuff that's happening out there and so much speculation. Reset your clock. Kama we ni wale watu wa kwenda Kenya, mwende Kenya, reset clock, murudi kabla hiyo inauguration, because we ndio unaweza fungiwa huko nje. So with that said, see you guys next week. Asanteni sana. Mikasi, we will catch up with you, my brother. And to all our guests who called in and commented and continue to support us, thank you. See you next week. Back to you, studio.
Babahanya.
Well, thank you guys for hosting us. I think this has been a long time coming, and thank God we made it.
Finally.
I actually like the fact that we are discussing these topics, and as Ari said, is a lot of things that we can discuss. I don't know, something with my voice. Anyway,
It's okay.
we
Nervous.
we want to come back and
Oh God.
talk more about these things.
Absolutely.
I think there's a lot. When we came here back in the 90s or early 2000s, there were not many Kenyans. Now the population have exploded and a lot of people are lost. So people who've been here for a while is a challenge. Should be able to be your brother or your sister keeper. Adopt somebody, as we were saying, show them the ropes, and it will help. I think this kind of discussions are necessary. This country is tough.
It
And
is.
I'm looking forward for another topic. Come on, we will be back.
Business
Okay.
kwanza.
A topic,
Wakirudi biashara.
a topic about froti.
Maguta.
That too, yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, thank you very much.
All right, welcome. Ginda.
Priscilla. I'm sorry, Geda.
I think of who have spoken for both of us. It's been my pleasure. We have enjoyed. We have a lot of conversations that we need to have. Omosh, I need to learn more about your culture. I like knowing more about other people's culture.
Karibu Suba.
Ali, I am very, very interested in Islam culture, and I'm actually
Yes.
going to. I read a lot, so
Okay.
tonight or tomorrow I'm gonna get a book and dive deeper into that.
Yes.
One Mike, he's been my brother. I met One Mike the same month, or even the same week when I met my husband. When I met Gofu.
So are you saying One Mike could be your husband?
No,
Oh,
Jesus, I'm
That would have
saying.
been a
He
Jesus.
is my
total disaster.
He's my brother.
Riswa.
So I am happy that we were able to come and support OneMicShow, support you guys. Asanteni for the invite. I better keep quiet, I'm quiet.
The support will move to sponsorship. No worries about it.
There you go.
It will be upgraded.
Inakuja.
It will be upgraded.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Asante sana. Thank you so much, Ginda, for coming through. I will share with you some of what I've been sharing with Mike about, because it's important we learn about each other's cultures.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why at this point in my life I have actively decided that, especially with Kenyans, I will engage Kenyans on this is because I realized a lot of Kenyans, especially even who've lived here, either have never even met a Kenyan Muslim or they've never had a conversation with them. And we tend to be very, very misunderstood, especially because of American media. We tend to be very misunderstood. So I sometimes take time, like there was someone who once accused me ati wewe unataka kufanya kila mtu Muislamu. I'm like, no, I'm not one of those people who will ever.
You're not a Pentecostal evangelical.
No, not even that. I'm not even one of those people who tries to convert other people. What I try to make people do is understand each other, because we live in the same spaces, we occupy the same spaces. I want you to understand, like if you have a coworker who, for example, does not want to come to that social where you're going to, a spot where people are drinking, understand the reason why she doesn't want to come is not because she does not want to socialize, but it's because of this and that. So that, to me, that's the most basic thing. Once we understand each other, we'll appreciate each other better, we'll love each other more, and we'll have a better society. Like I said, I think the Kenyan community, or the Kenyan groups that we have, need to, like also start focusing on some of these very pertinent issues that people are going through, people are experiencing. Sometimes when people even who've been in this country for a long time, in this country, you can live in a bubble. You could be here for a long time, but you live in a bubble. You don't understand that, your high school kid could actually get a scholarship. And all it would take would just be to get into conversations with other people who know what they need to do, and guide you, and boom, they save you money. Now your kid does not have to struggle, like once they graduate high school. So those are the things, like very small things. I like, for example, what Annette does in Baltimore in trying to educate the community what the government can do for them. In terms of assistance they're entitled to that they don't know about. So these are the small things that are going to make our community go forward. When we look at the successful communities here in the US, they've been able to create structures to take care of each other. And that's something that we've not done efficiently. We are doing it, but we've not done it efficiently as Kenyans, and we need to get there.
Yeah.